most places, throwing something away takes only a few seconds. You open the trash bin, you throw something inside, and you forget about it. But in one small Japanese town, throwing away your trash can be surprisingly complicated. Here, residents separate their waste into dozens of different categories: plastic, metal, paper, glass, and many categories that most people would never even think about. So why would anyone choose to make something as simple as throwing away trash this complicated? The town is called Kamikatsu. It is located in the mountains of Tokushima Prefecture, Japan. Only around 1,500 people live here. At first glance, Kamikatsu looks like a peaceful rural town. Green mountains, narrow roads, traditional homes, and a community far away from the crowded cities of Japan. But Kamikatsu has become famous for something very unusual. The town has spent years trying to become a zero-waste community, and the way it does this is unlike almost anywhere else in the world. The story began with a problem. For years, Kamikatsu depended on burning its waste. But around the year 2000, one of the town's incinerators had to close. The facility could no longer meet stricter environmental standards. Building a new incinerator was too expensive. Sending the waste somewhere else was also difficult. So, the town faced a simple question. What if the waste was not burned at all? Instead of treating everything as garbage, the town began looking at waste differently. Some things could be reused, some could be recycled, some could be sold, and only the waste that truly had no other option would be sent away. But this idea came with a price. Residents had to separate their waste, not into just 2 or 3 categories, but into dozens. At the town's recycling center, waste is divided into many different categories. Paper is separated from cardboard. Different types of plastic are separated. Metal is sorted, glass is sorted, and materials that appear to be part of the same object may need to be separated before they can be recycled. A plastic bottle is not simply thrown into a general trash bin. Its parts may need to be separated, containers may need to be cleaned, and some objects have to be taken apart before they can be processed properly. For residents, recycling is not something that happens somewhere far away. They are part of the process themselves. And something unexpected happened. The system began to change the way people thought about buying things. When throwing something away becomes difficult, you may think twice before buying it. A product with unnecessary packaging suddenly becomes more annoying. A disposable item becomes something you have to deal with later. And slowly, the question changes. Instead of asking, "Where do I throw this away?" people may begin asking, "Do I really need to buy this in the first place?" But Kamikatsu's system is not perfect, and this is where the story becomes more complicated. Sorting waste into dozens of categories requires time, it requires physical effort, and it requires people to travel to the recycling center. For younger and healthier residents, this may be manageable, but for elderly people, the system can be much more difficult. Kamikatsu has an aging population. Some residents live far from the recycling center, and not everyone can drive. So the same system that works extremely well from an environmental perspective can become difficult for the people who are least able to handle it. There is also another problem. Even if consumers carefully sort their waste, they cannot control everything. Companies continue to produce packaging, products continue to use plastic, and some materials simply cannot be recycled. Diapers, medical masks, and certain types of contaminated waste. So even a town that recycles most of its waste still produces some waste that must be burned or transported somewhere else. Kamikatsu shows us something important. Recycling can reduce waste, but consumers alone cannot. Solve the problem that is also critical. During the production of the products they buy, Kamikatsu is often presented as a model for the future. But can a system designed for a small mountain town work in a city of millions? That is a much more difficult question. A community of 1,500 people is not the same. As a city with millions of residents, the logistics are different, the infrastructure is different, and the people are different. But Kamikatsu still offers one powerful lesson. Waste does not simply disappear when we throw it away. Someone must deal with it. Somewhere, somehow, Kamikatsu may not have created a perfect solution, but it forced people to ask a question most of us rarely think about. What happens after we throw something away? Because perhaps the biggest problem with garbage is that we stop thinking about it the moment it leaves our hands. This is Hidden World Files. And sometimes,
Hoàng Lương quá.
the most important stories in the world are hidden in